Hello friends, in this video we are going to see how to create images just using some text. Okay, the text is known as prompts. All right, so here we have some basic libraries and then some related to the images so that we can show the images. And now the main library, it's this stability SDK means software development kit. So the stability client, so we are going to access the models via this client, and then the generation module will use for generating the images. Okay, now you can go to stability AI web page and register an account there, or you can log in with your email ID and then get your stability API key. So I already got the key and put it in my bash script or the environmental variables. So here I'm accessing the stability key, right? Now these models, they take a bunch of a number of parameters. We'll go through these parameters, okay? Um, and the first one will access the client, the stability API client. Okay. Uh, Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, the latest model is this Excel V2, but this model is not yet available via API. So we still have this V1 model, one of the first generations of this model available via API, right? But the concepts and everything we are going to learn, it will still remain the same. So whenever we have the latest model available, you can just update this engine name. So you will have much better looking images. Okay. All right. So let's look at the parameters the model takes, right? So the first one is called prompt. This is the text. Okay. So basically we describe what image we want to create just using some text, typically max 1 or 2 lines, but there is no limit to it as far as I know. And then we can provide weights also. So for example, we can say, hey, I want an image of a sky, and we can give a weight, let's say some value. Then the sky should be in blue color, but this time we might give a different weight, right? Then we can even have negative prompts. For example, clouds. So when the model create this image, it will make sure the clouds don't appear in the image. Okay. So prompt, it can be multi-prompt, and each prompt can have either positive or negative weight. So higher the value means there will be more weightage to that text. Negative prompt means the model try to not have those objects in the image. Okay. And then the steps. So the models, what they do is uh, they iteratively create these images, and these steps are known as a diffusion or inference step. Typically the results converge around 30 to 50 steps. So the default value is 30, but the allowed value is from 10 to 150. Okay. All right. Now, if we have really complex prompt, the model might take more inference step to get to the accuracy. But running more steps means the code should run for longer. If they are going to charge on not per image basis, but how long the model take to create the image. So using higher number of steps can lead to higher cost for generating the image. Okay. And then the number of samples. So how many images we want to create. So for each prompt, we can create multiple images. Obviously the default is one, but we can create up to 10 images with one API call. Okay. Now, the CFG scale, so it influences how strongly the image creation is guided by our text prompt. Okay, so for example, I mean, this can take value between 1 to 35. The default is around 7. So providing values, let's say some 7 to 14. So again, depending on different model versions, will it will create the images. Now, the reason we don't choose very high value is because if we are telling the model, I want an image exactly like this, then the model uh, don't explore the possibilities. So we want to leave some freedom to the model so that it can be creative, and it can come up with new ideas. So if you know the temperature parameter in chat gpt, this is somewhat similar to that. Okay, so by allowing higher temperature, we can tell chat gpt that hey, you have the freedom, you can explore the new ideas, you can be a bit crazy in your answers. Whereas if we set the temperature to 0, it will be very conservative in its response. Okay, so that's what the cfg scale means. So we'll provide moderate values, not really high values. And then this is the width and height of the image. uh, so this is the total number of pixel. If we are generating a square image, then that would be 1024 by 1024 pixels. Okay, so that's the maximum size we can have. And then the seed. So all AI, machine learning, etc. models, they have some seed. So they create some initial random distribution based on the seed value. Now, if we don't have to supply the seed. If we don't, the model generate a seed and start from there. But next time we call the same code, the model will be generating a new seed. So we will get a slightly different image. Okay. So if we want to create exactly the same image every time we want to run the code, then we will provide the seed. Okay, so that the model will have the same initial distribution of whatever it is, right? It could be the weights of a neural network, or it could be initial pixel values of an image, etc. Okay, so for reproducibility, we use the seed. Um, okay, we'll come to start schedule in a second. And then the engine. So as we discussed, currently the V1.5 is available. That's not the latest, but uh, everything we learn will remain the same. And then there are these sampler. I'm not sure how much effect they have on these image generation, but they say, the documentation says, the sampler, it denoise the images. And from what I see, uh, most of the apis are using this default sampler. Okay, all right. Now, the start schedule, uh, it's for text to image. We won't provide this one. The start schedule we will provide when we have both an image as well as prompt as an input. So this will guide how much of guidance it should take from the initial image, and how much of guidance it should take from the prompt. Okay, so in this video we are going to create images just based on the text, but in one of the later videos we will have both text as well as image as an input. There we will discuss this start schedule in more detail. Okay, all right. So first we access the stability api client by providing the the stability api key, and also defining the engine. Okay, so we are using this v1.5 engine. All right, and then we call the generate function. Okay, we provide a prompt which is this text. So here I'm taking the example from their apis as it is. So it simply says it's a landscape with greenery, then blue daisies, that's a flowers, and then this weeping willow tree, that's a tree, and then this blue Asian alien sky, and it should be this artisans masterful, etc. Okay, so we are using the seed, meaning we can generate the same image when we run the code next time also. So the number of steps, 30 is the default value, and CFG scale, this again, this is close to the default value as we discussed here. So this will guide how much the image creation should be guided by the text prompt. Okay, and then the image size, we want 512 by 512, and we want to create two images. Okay, and then this is the sampler which is used to denoise the image, but again we are going with the default value. Okay, so now the pricing depends on the image size. The bigger the image, the longer it takes to create the image, and also the price increases. And then the number of steps, this can also have an influence on the price. Okay, now uh, the response, it returns, so when we call this generate function, it returns an iterator, not the final output, meaning the images are not created yet. Okay, so we iterate over this response or the iterator and get the images from there. Okay, so this one, it's a simple code really, I mean, even though it looks multiple lines. So what we are doing is we are iterating over this the iterator, and we'll get some artifacts every time. And from the artifacts, if we are trying to generate some violent or adult content, then the safety filters gets activated and the model don't create those images, right? So first we are checking what is the finish reason, right? So if the finish reason is this filter, that means we are trying to do something which is against the guidelines. So there will be a warning message, the safety filters got activated, so we don't get an image back. Okay, so another artifacts we get back, it's the type. So if it's an image type, then we are going to save it to maybe local disk, or we are going to show it etc, right? So because we are creating two images here, the seed will be different, so we can access the seed for each image. Okay, so here all we are doing is we are just creating a file name to save the file to my local disk. Okay, so the first image going to have this name. Okay, and then image file. Okay, so here we have this artifact, right? So this artifact contains the finish reason, the type, and the binary from the artifact actually contains the content of the image. Okay, so here we have opened a file in writing binary mode, and using the artifact binary, we are saving the image to my local disk. Okay, and we can also display the image. Okay, so using this I think it's pillow image, the pill, yeah, PIL, this is one of the Python libraries to work with images. So again, using the binary data from the artifact, uh, we have access the image, and then we are displaying the image. Okay, so the model has created two images. So the first one is this, and the second image this. Okay, now let's see how closely these represent the prompt we gave. So some expansive landscape, rolling greens. Yes, it is some landscape. There is a lot of greenery, and then with blue daisies. Okay, that's flower. So here we have these blue daisies, And do we have in the second image? Yeah, I guess we don't have daisies. And then we have this weeping willow tree. So this is that weeping willow tree. And then blue alien sky. I think we can see the blue sky in both. And it should be artistan. Uh, I guess so. Okay. All right. Masterful. Yeah, I think so. Okay. So just using this text, we have created these two images. Okay. So this is not something like Google search where we search for something and Google it search all the images and return the image which existed before. Okay. So these two images are created for the first time just now. Okay. Right. So for the rest of the videos, this code is going to be exactly the same. So we simply get the response or this iterator, and we iterate or we parse this response first to find out if some safety filters are activated. If not, good. Then the artifacts contains a bunch of things. So if the artifact type is image, we'll take the content of the image. We take the seed of the artifact uh, just to create a unique name to save the file. And from the binary, we'll get the actual image content and save it to local disk as well as display using pillow and ipython display commands. Okay, so this code will pretty much remain the same. Now depending on the task, in addition to prompt, we might have an image as an input or maybe a mask, or we might have multi-prompt with the negative prompts and different weights, etc., etc. Okay. Um, I guess that's all for today. Again, a very quick summary. Uh, so here we have imported the stability AI SDK and the generation method. Okay, and then we have the API key in the environmental variables. We went over the parameters. So here we are creating this API client, the stability API client, and then we are calling the generate method with text or the prompt as the main thing. We can leave all these as defaults, but we are providing explicitly so that we work with them and we understand them. Okay, and then we finally parse the response. So these are the two images we have created. That's all for today. Thank you very much.